Okay, good evening, everyone. Today or tonight, we are managing again to have three different time zones. Romy, a very dear friend of mine, she's in Tasmania at the moment. For her, it's Saturday, 8 a.m. For me in Europe and for Aura as well, 11 midnight. And in Brazil, it is still Friday, 7 p.m. I met Romy more than 20 years ago. We used to work together in Montana in a ski resort. It was a blast having her as a friend and as a colleague. Afterwards, I moved, I can say I went to Peru for a while, and it was also very nice to have her attending my needs when I was there. I went to school to learn Spanish as well as to party with the Peruvians, and it was also lovely to have her. Um, we haven't seen each other in such a long time, since 2001, but still we kept in touch. And now I ask her to join us tonight so that you can have your answers, your questions answered, especially when coming from a tiny little island very far from Brazil and for the rest of the world. So, Romy, welcome, and please introduce yourself a little bit so that we can start with the questions.
Sure. With the relevance of English and how I ended up speaking this language, I come from Peru, Lima, but my family is from different parts of the country. So mom is from the Amazon. She actually speaks a little bit of Portuguese because they are from a town called Iquitos, which is very close to Belém. They used to go to Manaus all the time, back and forth. So that there are a lot of Brazilian people that trade with people from Iquitos up north. And so she's from there. All my family from my mom's side is from the Amazon area. My dad is indigenous from the Andes, and they both migrated to Lima for a better future. But yes, I basically, like, I was raised in Lima with all this food from the Amazon, the accent. I was very exposed to the accent, and also all the cultural implications from the both areas, right? So the Inca culture and the Amazonian culture, very interesting. And now when I was growing up, I never appreciated it, but now I do. And that's why I'm a little bit crazy also because of the Amazonian part. Not crazy, but like we are very social. They like the dancing, they like the talking, and the accent even like speaks for itself. It's just very quick and vibrant. Then I grew up in a very precarious conditions, I would say. We were very poor. We were my parents migrated, so it was hard to get jobs. It's still hard, I believe, in Peru, living, if you don't come from a family that is well established in the social economical strand that you wished, it's hard. So that was the story of my parents. So I did not speak a word of English until I met Simone. And I was 19 at the time. And so the purpose of learning, I went to a very poor school, a school that we sometimes we didn't even have where to sit. Like we were almost at some point, I think we were over 50 in a classroom. It was easy. All my primary school, I remember we were like 50 in a classroom with one teacher. And anyway, so well, not English, of course, limited science and all that kind of specialized subjects that help you with the future. So everything that I learned was outside of school, and the basics in the school. And my parents, both of them are teachers. So they were very into like, no, you have to learn things. You have to, go and get tutoring in maths and things like that so I can go to uni. Anyways, and English was not I guess, a must. It was more about learning how to pass exam to get into a university. English wasn't there until I got into uni. So when I got into uni, first things first, I'm like, I was a teenager and I'm thinking, well, this place is not really I'm not gonna get anything out of it. My parents work hard. We're still poor. We're still, our house is not well done. Everything is falling apart. And I'm just, no, I need to get out of the country. So how did you do that? Learning another language. And that was the input. And I went and learned English in just like we called it in IGNA, probably in Brazil. You guys have that, the American Institute for English. And so I took 1 year course, 2 hours Monday to Friday, and that's all the English I had. So when I went to America, I had 1 year of English that was useless. I didn't understand anything. I remember I was impressed with all the Brazilian girls, with Simone, with the Peruvian girls that came, that learn English with other methods, good schools. I had no idea what people were saying to me. I can guarantee to you in front of my son that I had no idea. I don't know how I managed to make friends. So my receptive English language was terrible. I think expressively I could manage because of the context and I could just like pass my message across. But it was a struggle, but it was a beautiful struggle. It was adventurous. It was people were not mean to me. I always had people next to me when I was stuck, someone helping me. And I didn't feel the pain or the embarrassment. I was actually proud that I was, oh, well, I don't speak English. How's that? Coming out here. It was comfortable. And I think there was no pressure either because we were doing easy jobs. We were in hospitality and there was nothing that I could do wrong that will muck up the business. So I was comfortable. So I was doing a little bit of everything, and I can tell you that I don't know when exactly I could speak English fluently. I don't remember. I remember coming back and forth. So that's how I pay university back home. So I used to go to America, work 3 to 4 months on those programs, and then bring the money and pay uni. And then I continue learning English in Peru because I was aware that I wasn't speaking it well. And then I started French as well. And so I was doing both at some point. And then by the time I finished uni, which is 5 years of a bachelor's, after being in America doing these programs for 4 years in a row, I remember I did a year-round program and I was a receptionist in a hotel. And to get the job, my English had to be pristine, had to be extended vocab, everything, you name it, because the interview was over the phone. To get a visa for 1 year with a job, you had to pass that interview. So I reckon by then my English would have been proficient enough. And then is when, yes, I felt like I could communicate. And then after that, I went to Miami, which I didn't have to speak English. It was both Spanish, English over there. Worked in a French restaurant for a little bit, and then I got just fed up and went back home and did honors. I decided to do honors, finished that, and then came to Australia. And that was 2006. So yes, that's the story. Now I did hospitality back home, as Simone would know, and because we did the same course, right? Back then when we met, Simone.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so here I did an MBA. And then after that, I was working for Federal Group, which is the casino. They own venues, hospitality venues here. And then I didn't like it. And then I started social work, psychology, sorry. And then I moved into social work. So then I became a social worker. And then I had my son with all these issues. So I went back to uni and now I am a behavior analyst. So I did a master's in applied behavior analysis and now I'm a therapist. So change careers. And therefore, English, I manage other terms. If you put me in a context of science with maths and softwares and computers, I have no idea. But yes, so that's my core now is disability is what I work. Mm-hmm. And Tasmania is beautiful.
Wow.
I love Tasmania.
Romy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It was a hell of introduction. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I hope they're still gonna have some questions for you after
Well,
this.
ask away, because I didn't say anything about Tassie, and I was about to say, because what usually get asked, I do like little workshops for youth when I used to work for youth, and everyone asks me, but how do you ended up in Tasmania? But like, and then the story drags me into like, how I changed careers and got into youth and got into disability and all that. But that's the track, the timeline. And then Tasmania was because I met his dad when I was in Queensland, another state up north in Australia, and he was from here. So I ended up moving my course from Sydney to Tasmania. So, and Tasmania is lovely, it's beautiful. You must visit. I love it. It's perfect, it's safe, it's calm. It's not good for a single party girl, I can tell you this, but to raise a kid is amazing.
I can imagine. I think that you have a really strong flexibility in your career because you change a lot. Yeah. And coming from Peru and finish in Tasmania. When did you go to Tasmania, Romy?
2008. So I was in
2008.
Queensland before.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it has changed. Tasmania has changed. Big word, the one you mentioned, because when I arrived here, I remember this was the place that was giving extra points to migrants because it was not populated enough. Now it's populated. Now it's very popular for tourism and businesses and things. Yes, so it has changed. It has a little bit of a movement. Yes. No, it's that.
I was looking for some information about Tasmania, and I saw that Tasmania is a little bit has a area smaller than my city. I live in a coastal city in Brazil, Santos, and I think that the area of Tasmania is 68,400 square kilometers, and Santos has 281,000 square kilometers. So yeah, but this is interesting. But it's interesting because Tasmania is the biggest island of Australia, and has an area 4 times bigger than Sydney in Australia. Yeah. So there are some interesting aspects about Tasmania that we are going to talk about.
Yes, well, Tasmania indeed, biggest island, but it's not well populated. So people here are very proud of the environment and then how we keep our air clean and everything. They don't want to overpopulate it. They don't want to chop the trees to build houses. So a huge chunk of the island is not populated. There's probably more wallabies and kangaroos than people. And yeah, so but then the inner center is where I live, Hobart, the capital, and then we have other towns. Rafa was born in the Northwest Coast, which are little towns, around across the Northwest and the East Coast. But then the West would not be Southwest. There are not many people there. It's only forest. And also, I think all up we are 500,000 in the whole state. And only
do you see the map? Romy, do you see the map?
I see the map, yes.
Okay, so you live in Hobart, the capital, right?
Correct.
Okay, it's a little bit southwest or eastern, southeast.
Southeast, yes.
And then Rafa was born in the north.
Oh, yes, you have to go all the way northwest in Burnie. It's called Burnie. That is it's a beautiful town. It's by the coast. So you have to go all the way north by the coast. Northwest though, not east, west.
Okay.
Try to zoom out a little bit, Renato.
Yeah.
Here? Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, I see it.
Burnie.
Yes.
That's where I was born.
And how far is it driving, and how is this transportation system in the island?
You could fly to Wynyard, but I've never bother because the SNR is very nice. It's a very nice drive, very good highway. So I usually drive when I go back there. I have a lot of friends there. I used to live there. I lived there for 2 years, and it's beautiful, beautiful. But I wouldn't live there forever. It's too small for me. I need a little bit of noise. Then 4.5 hours to Devonport. Devonport is the city next to Burnley, and from Devonport, people take a ferry to go to Melbourne, to go to mainland in Australia.
Mhm.
And I've done that, and it's super cool. Super cool. You can just like chuck your car in the ferry, and then you arrive in Melbourne and drive all over Australia. That's the thing to do. It's very cool. All Australians do that.
And how far is the ferry from
It's
Burnley
overnight.
to how many
Overnight.
hours?
12 overnight, so it would be like 12
Oh,
hours.
okay.
Take it like 6 p.m. or something and arrived in Melbourne next morning. I guess it would be like 12 hours. I only done it a couple of times, and you know, like you drive from Hobart, you're exhausted, you just go to bed in the ferry. But it's super nice. They feed you, the restaurants, there's movies, everything. If you want to sleep in a chair, you sleep in a chair, or you can rent a cabin. Super cool.
Okay. Romy, I have a surprise for you. Renato, if you don't mind to close the map.
Okay.
Let me see if the camera is on. She is coming. Did you let her in, Renato?
Who?
There's
No, yeah, I
oh
think
yeah,
that, yeah,
I
I
see
accept
that.
everybody.
Let me see if she puts the camera on. Oh yeah, Marcela is also in the house. Marcela, did she answer your question about transportation? Did you hear that?
Yes, I hear you asking her. Thank you, Simone. Perfect.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, I think she's struggling with the camera. Aura, did you have a question?
I did. I have two questions. So I know that Tasmania, sorry, I haven't spoken English the whole day, so my English is a little bit out the window. But I know that Tasmania is like a little bit like out of Australia in a way. But like I'm going to Australia in December, and I just wanted to know like what's touristy? Like what's the best advice you can give to a tourist? There you go.
You mean like Australian wide or specifically in Tasmania?
Whatever. I don't like it can be any.
Okay, because it's a huge country, and it
Yeah.
depends if you are hitting the west, then you go to Perth, Broome, and it's like traveling within Australia. It's like traveling to different countries. That's what I like. I would need to know where you're heading to. I particularly like Queensland because I like the beach and I like the Great Barrier Reef. I like all the boats and everything and scuba diving and all that. And you get also a lot of forestry tours, so you can go and do bushwalking and things like that. But then if you want something more cosmopolitan, more like city-like, then you go to Sydney. There's beach as well, ferries and everything is more like, it's full of tourists. It's more like going and get more like like gastronomical kind of tourism as well, and shows and things. Is super. It's not as relaxed, I reckon. Even if you go to the beaches, it's party. Queensland, you get both. You get party, but you also get tranquility, like go and explore and nature. Connection with nature in Sydney, you need to get out of Sydney and go to the Blue Mountains. Then if you want some more like coming from Portugal, you probably won't get impressed with Melbourne. I love it. And it's very European, and they have art galleries, museums, and you can go and see a show theaters are the thing there. They always displays of like some place going on, some artist is coming. That's Melbourne. Melbourne is more for the city kind of tourism, but then you have, again, go a bit out of Melbourne for a few hours and you'll get springs, mountains, walks, and things like that. Tassie is more nature. Tassie would be to go to Crater Mountain, the reefs, the capes, the boats, Peppermint Bay, is nature. So yes, it really depends, and also depends in like whether you're coming by yourself. If you're coming with family, may as well just go to Gold Coast and get into those resorts so your kids can have a blast. But if you're coming by yourself, I would explore further. I'll be like, going city, then going to a cabin in the forest, and you can't do it all in Australia. There's no way you're gonna lose. Like whatever you choose to do will be amazing. Was that too much information? I feel like I just talked. Sorry.
No,
Oh,
you're
wow.
great. Thank you. You just
Yeah,
like turned
how
my
you
entire
talk?
itinerary.
Okay, Heider, you have a question? Oh, I
Yeah,
think
thank you. First is about the famous animal from Tasmania, Tasmania devil. Could you tell for us why Tasmania devil become the Tasmania symbol?
Oh, yes, I love your question.
Yeah.
You said,
Yes.
sorry, I hate that. Sorry, I just dropped my phone. Okay, there we go. Did you mean the Tasmania devil? The demon? Is that what you
Yeah.
said? Yeah.
Renato, can you please
I
write down?
remember Tasmania devil when I watch cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, yes, love it. Okay, so it is a thing. It is a thing, and it's a marsupial. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually until I came here. So it is a bit of a story. Be ready to hear me talking again. But the Tasmanian devils obviously are native from here, and they live up in the bushes, but they're also in extinction. So they are trying to preserve them. And why they are disappearing is because it's a marsupial. It looks like a cat. I'll show you a photo in a sec. We're actually gonna go to the zoo and see them now with Rafa. Every weekend we go to the zoo. He loves it. I just buy a membership, and there are heaps there. Now, these guys, the Tassie devils, had a tumor, a face tumor that was discovered like 20 years ago, and it started to spread along geographically, right? With all the Tassie devils are along the island. So they started disappearing. They were dying because of this tumor. So now the Tasmanian government put a lot of funding in bringing doctors, zoologists from all over the world to try to cure them and to check how they're going to stop this and the reason behind the tumor, why the tumor spreads so quickly. And one of the answers was about the latter question that they are genetically so similar that when the virus hits and the tumor starts spreading because it doesn't recognize it's a different body. So there's no defenses. It feels like it's the same DNA and so on. So it spreads quickly, and they were killing them. So then these guys, look what money does. So they fence a huge forest. So I think it was down in the peninsula. They fenced everything. So then they capture pretty much the Tassie devils that were not having the tumor just yet to stop spreading to that group. And then they started to pretty much secluding the Tassie devils. You're sick, well, go and die on that side, and then you're not, then we'll save you coming to this side. That happened for years, and now they're coming back. They're growing now. See me, amor, see me, Ray. So yes, so, and they're very interesting animals. I don't find them cute. Like I like look at them and go, I prefer wombats, but they are our animals, and I have a a soft heart for them. It is a shame, and the Tasmanian government did all this because we used to have the Tassie tiger and got extincted and disappeared because they were being killed. They used to go, there are a lot of farming, there's a lot of farming, so the farmers used to kill them because they used to come and attack the cattle and then the chickens and the sheep, etc. So they, after this experience, they were like, no, we're not going to lose our Tassie devils. But yes, they are a thing and they scream. And I don't know if with this I can show you, because I have videos of them devouring chicken. I have like we go and see them every week. Now, it used to be the thing that when I had just arrived, I remember seeing people talking to people, oh, like I almost hit a Tassie devil, or like, oh, a Tassie devil came and attacked my rabbit or whatever. But now that doesn't happen. They got so low in numbers that you don't see them anymore. I've never seen one. I hit wallabies with my car, kangaroos, even deers, but never Tassie devils. But yes, they look exactly like that, and they scream. It's very scary when they scream. They go when they're eating. They go. It's a little bit freaky. Yes. And the name, from what I know, the English, when the English came here and took the land, they used to camp and hear them, and they decided, well, they sound like a demon and devils or whatever, and that's why they call them Tassie devils. Yes, I love your question. Yeah, I've never had to answer that in the past. I always go, and I'm the one asking that, but now I have all this info because of asking. But yeah, they're interesting animals.
Thank you.
Oh, my
Okay,
pleasure.
thank
Right.
you. Carlos has a question.
Oh, hello guys. Here Carlos from Curitiba, Brazil. And I know that Tasmania, I see in the map so many national parks. Cradle Mountain, Fair National Park, Franklin Gordon, Wild Rivers, and Mount Field, Southwest. There's a lot of national parks. And I love national parks when I travel. I guess it's a good place to go. Let me know about the fires because Brazil now is facing fires like Europe or the United States, Canada, or about the climate change in Tasmania, Romy. Do you think this is happening in Tasmania too? And I didn't know about Tasmania as a state from Australia. I thought that Tasmania was independent. My ignorance, excuse me.
Oh, please, no. And geographically, it just looks like it, right? No, we're way too small, too lame. We're too lame to be independent. But and sorry, I say we. I include myself. I just like I love Tassie. You are right. Like people may think that, but no, we're the island state. And I remember when I was doing my presentation with Simone, I sent her a little video of me, and I'm just rolling my eye, thinking, what should I say about Tassie? And I was just thinking, okay, it's the island state. No, we are still part of Australia. And I think even like Australia, Tasmanian people cannot be more Australian. Seriously, the Australian culture is so embedded in this state, you wouldn't believe. The way we dress, the way people talk, the accent, the way people talk to each other. It's just so funny, very Australian. But anyway, bushfires is a thing. And it's a thing every single year. There are a lot of national parks, yes. Aura may be interested in hearing that part. There are heaps. So we buy a pass. Aura, if you ended up coming to Tassie, first call me. And but you need to get a pass. And we all, usually people, locals, we buy it to last a year or 2 years. Mine is 2 years. And then you get access to all these parks, right? and then people just like on weekends, they go drive 2 hours and go and do bushwalking, rent a cabin, and go to a pub. Sí, mi amor, can you go to your bedroom, please, papi? Ah, por favor. But then those parks, funny enough, they're not populated and they are not in danger yet. I was surprised to hear this because I knew about the bushfires, and that hits a lot of people that live near the bushes. But that would be those areas would be the valleys, so not the mountains. So, and there are a lot of populated valleys in Tassie. One of them is Glen Huon, and I happen to go the Huon Valley, but there is a particular place in Huon Valley called Glen Huon, and I go there every week for therapy. I treat 3 boys in Glen Huon, and that in January, when the bushfires start, is usually closed. And they ask people to evacuate, depending on how bad it is, right? Last year, they didn't have to. The previous year, they were very close to leave Glen Huon. Peninsula, the peninsula is always bushfires there, incidents with houses and things. And then people start doing like relief programs for rebuilding houses. So the government is always there. That's what I love this country so much. So people lose their houses, but then they get subsidies and all these programs so they can build again. What I don't understand is why they keep building there. So why do they don't want to leave those places? They love it so much that they just like, whatever, I'll deal with the bushfire. But they still build in the peninsula. That's something that I don't dare to ask. But it is every year. Yes, we have in Queensland, the natural disasters are the floodings, and in Tassie, the bushfires.
Right. Romy, I don't know if you've seen it, but I asked Marisol to join us tonight. Do you see her?
No, hang on. I'm gonna swipe this. Ay, Marisol, mírala.
Oh, hello, Romy.
Sorry, guys. I just wanted you guys to see each other.
I was paying attention about the Tasmania's devil. How are
no,
you?
me sale el mote. Yo no voy a poder hablar inglés ahora que la veo, Marisol.
No, please go back to
Spanish.
English.
Oh my goodness! I haven't seen her since I probably saw
2021.
Yes, right? But I don't think I caught up with you in Peru though.
No.
No, I saw you in America, but we never caught up in Lima.
Yeah.
I caught up with Simone, but no in Hilda, but not with you. And who is
Yes, I wasn't here when you guys got together. I wasn't living here then.
No, there you go. Qué lindo. Sorry. To see you. And
Brain freeze in Spanish. Marisol, please ask her a question so we can go back to English minds. Do you have a question about Tasmania?
Okay. Oh, have you seen Carolina again? I remember you two were close friends.
We talk. We talk, and sometimes she always like I think actually we talked maybe 4 years ago over Messenger. I can't remember. And she texts, and it's nice. It's nice to keep in touch with her. She's in Mexico.
Yeah.
And
yes, I talked to her too. Maybe I go to visit her.
House. Pardon?
Yeah, I would like to visit her maybe next year. I'm planning that. I'm planning
in Mexico.
In Mexico. Yeah.
I went to Quintana Roo where she lives, but I went when she was in Argentina. I couldn't change. I had Rafa, I couldn't change plans. Yeah.
How
so
old
anyway.
Is your boy? How old
Rafa
is your boy?
10.
10.
10.
Okay. My son is 9.
We also have Marcela here. Sorry, guys, to interrupt, but Marcela is also here, and she also has a special boy. So that's also another reason why I would like to match you guys. So maybe in the future we could have a meeting just to talk about that. So anyhow, Aura, you have a question about Tasmania, right? Let's go back to that.
My question is, I think I ask this in every single meeting that I'm a part of, but what is the crime like in
The what?
Tasmania? The crime.
Oh, okay, the
Crime
crime.
rates. Oh,
Okay.
yes, very safe place.
I'm gonna try not to be cheeky and rude. I always make fun of the newspapers because they don't know what to put on the front page because there's no crime. So, if someone, I don't know, I remember, okay, this is a good one. When like these kids finish high school and they do what in America they call it prom, whatever, the leavers, they call it leavers here. They're the leavers, and they get in the front page just because they're finishing school. Even Rafa, when he was born, he's like just a normal kid. He wasn't that beautiful. He was just like a kid. They came to a hospital, took a photo, and put it on the newspaper. There's no crime really. And when there is crime, they would actually boom, be on the front page. Everyone will buy it because it doesn't happen very often. I remember when this is when I was a uni. This was 2009. Maybe if you Google it, I remember a Chinese girl, a Chinese student disappeared. She was an international student. She was kidnapped by some Greek guys, and that was huge news and everyone here will remember. And then there was also like a gun shoot. It was a guy that is now in a psychiatric ward in Port Arthur. That's also in the news, and that will be in Google. That was horrible, and that happened before I came here. It would have been 20 years ago. I can't remember the year. But crime is very low. Many times I left earphones, wallets on the street. The other day I lost one of my earrings and I put it on our Good Karma on Facebook. The communities have this group in Facebook called Good Karma, so they help each other. And I posted a photo of my earring, the other pair, and then right away someone, I found it.
Wow.
Put like her diamond ring on the beach, diamond rings. When, okay, we'll help you. And someone went with one of those whatever detectors,
Metal detector. Yeah.
found it, posted it. Hey, mate, we found it. That's what I love it here. That's one of thanks for the question, because I think I don't realize what I take it for granted sometimes, but yes, that's the reason. Rafa, the school is just there, and he absconds. So he leaves the grounds and comes all the way home. Everyone in the community knows him. So I know that he'll be safe. And they know me too, like the crazy lady, the Mexican, they call me the Mexican. Yeah, with the kid with autism. Like, because many times I had to hold him on the street because he gets very heightened. People live there. There are cameras in my complex, so that helps. Sometimes you hear people saying, well, someone hit my car and ran away. You know what I mean? That kind of crime, yes, that happens, but not very often. People essentially are very honest. They help each other, very collaborative. So that's a big difference from, like Lima, and even I lived in South Beach, Florida. Also, like I remember you couldn't leave anything outside. But yes, it's pretty safe here.
Okay,
thank
okay.
you. I think Dave has a question.
Yeah, sorry to bring the conversation back to animals, but it just makes me wonder. I hear that Australia has some of the most dangerous species in the world, so it makes me wonder about Tasmania as well. Did you ever encounter any of these dangerous animals, spiders, snakes, anything like that?
Yes, Dave, in Crater Mountains, because the people are not allowed to kill them, not even the spiders. So the dangerous animals would be, to my knowledge, I'm not a zoologist, but everyone is very aware of the stingrays and the jellyfish. They can kill you. So if you're in Queensland, Aura, by the way, if you decide at the end to go to Queensland, you have to be careful. They usually know where you get the dangerous jellyfish areas, so they will have signs and stuff. The sharks in LA beaches, for example, the sharks, they would actually kill you. But then they have patrol. So if they see them on the distance, the siren will go off and people will know, oh no, that side of the beach. And then essentially just people get out of the beach. Then the snakes. And you know what is the most dangerous part about it is that I don't know them. So there's so many of them that camouflage very well. And also there's so many species that it's just very hard, unless you're a specialist in animals, that which one are the ones that are dangerous and which ones are okay. And I remember in Craig Mountain, I saw one of them that it was a very little one that didn't even look dangerous. It was just I swear, this long, and has stripes, yellow stripes, looked beautiful, so beautiful that people were like, obviously, you want to take a photo. And then everyone started to run. One person knew that was one of the poisonous one. It is dangerous to you, but like you always encounter some, individuals out there that know their shit. They will actually, sorry, my French, they will know. And they'll tell you, and sometimes you find signs and things. But in nature, it's very hard to skip that. So when you go and do bushwalking, they usually recommend you to use long boots, special gloves, and so on. But I've never got bitten or anything. I've seen them. They're huge huntsmen, which are the biggest spiders, but they're not poisonous. So I've not seen them close by. But they're not dangerous. The little ones are the dangerous ones.
Yeah, because Tasmania is a place full of nature. So I think that's
Correct.
natural. You have a love this kind of this is peace there. Okay, and but Romy, I have two questions one about history and another about economy. History. People say that England and Ireland people, prisoners, were sent to Tasmania in the past. I don't know exactly about this history. Can you tell something about it?
Yes, but would you mind, Renato, if I just point out that Carlos, I think, was raising his hand before? So
Okay,
we...
Go ahead, Carlos. Yeah.
Okay. Now, my question is about the study and work in Australia. I know that there are a lot of students and workers from all over the world, okay? But are the restriction increasing? Is more difficult now study or working in Australia, or is the same, in your opinion, Romy?
Well, because I am a citizen now. I've been a citizen for over 13 years now. So I don't have to, go through regulations of migration regulations. But when I came, if you had the money, the right paperwork, you will get into any university. I know that Tasmania was, because it's regional, you used to get extra points, migration points, to get residency, but now they took that out because they've been helping a lot the refugee program. So they bring in people that are facing war and they get access. I used to volunteer teaching English to the migrants that came with refugee status, and because they were traumatized. And I was a social worker. So, it was like I was doing English lessons and a bit of counseling as well. So, and because they are putting a lot of resources on those programs, they are trying to stop migration from. That's the general knowledge I have. In terms of how the paperwork works and everything, I don't know. But I mean, around the world, everything is more expensive. Australia also is very wary about overpopulating the country. And I think that also takes place. So yes, I reckon it generally will be more difficult nowadays, but not impossible. And they have very good universities, and it's a business as well. So they feed the universities from the money of the international students. I fed them very well with the master's program that they asked me to have the money before coming here. You know what I mean? So I reckon it's still a bit more difficult, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Romy.
No, thank you. Okay, Renato. So the history,
Okay.
and I'm just so yes, invasion came from England, and Tasmania specifically has an interesting story. I'm gonna try to summarize it, but pretty much when they came here, saw the land, saw the resources up north, you know, Perth has a lot of mining. Tasmania has mining too, actually. And then the trees and the oaks and the hue pine, etc. They decided, oh, okay, well, perfect place to colonize. But we have the Aboriginal groups. And even now, at the moment, there are over 300 and something, only in Tasmania, so dialects and all that. So what they did was started to impose their religion, their culture and everything. So started to build schools, take the Aboriginal kids and put them in those schools and get them to be raised by nuns. And they brought a lot of teachers, and the kids were actually taken out of their parents. I've met some of these teachers, some of these kids, those kids that were victims of the colonization program. And they are now, you know, baby boomers that they remember clearly being taken out of their houses when they were little. So the program, the government made this. There is a very well-known speech done by Kevin Rudd, which was the prime minister when I arrived from the Labour Party. Is a speech called the sorry speech, and he was saying, "I'm sorry to all these, like the owners of the land, that were taken, like they decide, no, this is not your land anymore; it's mine." You know what I mean? It's horrible. It's horrible. So now, if you come from Aboriginal descendant group, you get to study for free. You get a lot of benefits, government benefits, and so on. Like it's like they're trying really to do their sorry. It's mainly sorry. I hope I don't offend anyone. Is white. Tasmania is a comparison to mainland is very white. So that's why when I arrive here, people will look at me weird. The people is not the optimal destination for migrants because it's small. There's not many jobs here. Most people will go to Sydney. Again, it's growing now, but at the time that I arrived here, it was pretty much white and even not that secular either. And it's basically because the colonization did a base here. That is, if you look at Google Port Arthur, that will give you a little bit of an insight of what I'm saying in terms of how they populated it. So they decided this island is small, it's not big enough for a big, but we're not gonna do a big metropolis here. But we can use this island. And they started to bring all the people from their jails in England. So it was popular. So everyone makes this joke about Tasmanians that we are rapists and things because we descend from all this white population where used to be people that were in jail in England. So Port Arthur is one of those jails. So they brought all these people that couldn't escape from the island unless you were like a massive ultra swimmer that would swim from Tasmania to the mainland. So they didn't know how to escape. So they just chucked them in this island, build the jails, and make them build the towns. So a lot of the buildings, and you see in Hobart, some of them come, not my house, but like in town and up north as well. And the bridge that we have here is called Richmond, is the first bridge in the whole country. And that was built by the convicts. So Tasmania, the white population was mainly comes from convicts that the English brought to save a space back in England and made them work for free. So it's very interesting.
And about Tasmania is full of reserves. But your economy is based on agriculture, fishing, and tourism and mining. I think that these are the four most important activity in Tasmania. But you have an issue. People say that coming from Australia, from the continent to Tasmania, it's very expensive. And this is the kind of problem that you have, the cost of transportation. Okay, the cost of transportation from Australia or from the continent to Tasmania. Okay, this logistic, it's expensive. What do you say about that? This is one of the barriers that people avoid to go to Tasmania. What do you have to say about that?
I actually, I believe the whole country, Australia is very expensive. I mean, everything is expensive here. And my sister is in America, in California, and when we compare prices about things, transport, flights, domestics, all that is expensive. Now, coming from mainland to live to Tasmania, I disagree. I don't think it's necessarily expensive. I think it's just like isolation that makes it expensive, because you need to bring all your things, like, make sure that you still have contact with mainland. That involves flying, taking the ferry. That is all expensive. And accommodation is expensive. So, all right, if you, for example, came to Australia like in peak season, like it's very expensive. It's full, and it's in Tasmania. Even like when I got people from mainland calling me, "Oh my goodness, Romy, did you know of any backpackers? Even anything?" It's full, so that makes it expensive. But once you're established, if you come from mainland, I'd say it's pretty much the same. If not, maybe even cheaper to live in Tassie, because you spend less money. There's no there are no big shops, big malls like in mainland. So I find it, I'm not rich, I live comfortably, but if I go for a night out, it's not that I have many options either. And it's spend much money.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably more taken of the general idea of living in Australia, which is assuring that people have very good living standards, and therefore everyone has to be paid highly rates. So that, it's like the chicken and the egg kind of metaphor. You don't know where it started, but it's basically you pay. The lady that comes and cleans the common areas in the complex, she drives a Lexus, for goodness sake. I mean, you want the big pay of strata fees, right? And she just like watered the plants and, cleaned the holes, and everything is pristine and everything. That lady has a lot of money. She gets paid well by the strata, but like that also, she goes and spends a lot of money in groceries. So yes, it's just like essentially expensive. It's
the same
expensive to
price
live.
as Australia, then the continent, same cost, Okay,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
No worries.
Okay, guys. Romy, I am so impressed with you. I was gonna say you did your homework, you prepared for the session, but you didn't. You just know everything. It's amazing how bright you are. Really, I'm not lying. It's just your common knowledge. You know a lot about your country, you know a lot about the people, and you nailed with all the answers. And please thank Rafa for being so kind to us and not interrupt you so much. So thank you once again for being here for us, for taking the time. I know it was hard to book this session, but I'm very pleased that you were able to do so. And of course, to see you again. We never know, the world is small. I want to see you again. And for the Brazilians who are here tonight, thank you so much for being here. And I see you next time. Marisol and Aura, also, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, guys.
Lovely seeing you. Thank you so much, everyone. My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you,
Thank
people.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. See you.
Bye.